Hey everybody, this is David at Barnyard Bees. It's super cold out here. It's probably 28, 30 degrees, maybe a heavy frost, very heavy frost. Today's video, first thing I want to announce before I start talking about anything, our first coffee bee chat will be next Saturday, not this Saturday, but March the 7th. We will have a bee chat at Barnyard Bees store in Chatsworth, Georgia. I'll put the address above, and it'll be our first of the year. Don't miss out on this. This is going to be a good bee chat to get everybody started for the year. We had the last one we had in November was the biggest one ever. We had lots of people show up. It was double what I ever thought it'd be. So I know it's a little bit early, not much of a notice. I usually give 2 or 3 weeks notice ahead of time in my videos, but our schedule wouldn't let us know for sure with kids in practice and cheerleading and stuff. It's just we wasn't sure when the dates could be, but it's confirmed that we just confirmed this a couple days ago that we can do it March 7th. So please show up for that. You will not regret it. The last video, what we talked about was our mini mating nukes, and these are the new ones that we have at Barnyard Bees, and they're lighter. They come in 3 pieces, and what I wanted to show you today is how you can start using these things, how to get queens out of these. And there's different techniques that you can do. These things are so versatile. Even if you don't buy some from us, make you some your own if you wish to. We have plans as well in other videos, but if you want these, we have these at barnyardbees.com. But I just wanted to show you a few things that you can do to get your queen started. Now, like I said, this comes in 3 pieces. This is all solid pine. Bottom board is all solid pine. There is no plywood at all. It's 100% solid 3/4 inch pine boards. They're actually, it's called inch, but it's really 3/4 inch. So, different ways that you can make your queens with these. One way is, and this is so easy, you can take one of these right here, and say for example, this hive, well, let's say, I don't know if the camera can see it, this hive right here, or here, it doesn't matter. You pull one frame out and stick it in your mini nuke, and a good combination of is eggs. This is if you're going to, for example, if you're going to do the simplest of all splits is a walk-away split, what they call a walk-away split, and that's where you pull out a frame of fresh eggs, because if you have fresh eggs, then you'll have stages above that 3-day-old larva that they can make a queen with. So that's what you're looking for. The perfect combination would be a frame that has a dab of honey on it, a lot of capped brood with some young eggs and larvae, and a little bit of pollen. It doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to go to that extent. Now, what a lot of people will say is, well, you don't have enough bees in there to make a good quality cell, but there's a trick to that. And what you can do is this, and it depends on the strength of the hive that you have here. What you can do is pull your frame out of your nuke right here, put it in here, and beside it put a blank frame. Then what you'll do, where this hive was setting, you move it out of the way and set that mini nuke in its place. Now, this will do 2 things. It'll prevent this one from swarming, because it's going to decrease the population of that colony by 1 frame, and a lot of foragers will go in there. Now, a lot of people don't believe this. You can debate me if you want to. When bees can change back to if they're foragers, they don't mean necessarily when they come in here they'll be foragers. This is my opinion. A lot of people probably disagree with this, but when they're set in a condition of not having a queen and they're starting from scratch, those bees will actually start tending and building queen cells as well. I know people's going to say, no, it's not true, but I've seen it myself. I've seen how they act and watch them do this, because the foragers that was coming and going so much in this colony now in here are not quite as much. So, and what that does, these bees will return to this mini nuke now, because you've pulled it out of place, and it's going to start filling this hive up with a lot of bees. And it'll help decrease this colony a little bit. Now, is it going to hurt this colony by taking all its foragers? No. They're graduating foragers every single day. It might slow them down just a tad, a little bit, but it's not going to hurt them whatsoever. So that's one way that you can do that. You know, it's just like a package of bees. When packages are harvested, that come with all types of bees in them, and you'll have foragers and nurse bees all in the same 3-pound package. And it's the bees that was foragers now not necessarily are going to be foragers when you install them in that hive. This is my opinion. You know, you don't have to believe it. This is just what I believe, and because I see the way the bees act when you put them in the circumstances like that, it's like they change their work, their job, their job title, or whatever you want to call that. And but that's one way of doing it. Now another way is, and this is a very simple way too, if you're going through your other colonies and you find a frame with queen cells, never ever cut that queen cell out and throw it on the ground. People do this all the time because they think they're going to prevent swarming. Once bees get to that point, it's already in mindset in their head to swarm. So you're not going to change their mind by cutting those out and throw them on the ground. Take that frame and put it in your mini nuke along with another empty frame. And if you don't want to change positions on, let's step back just for a second. Say if you want to keep this in another position in your yard, and you didn't want to mess with the colony's population in this nuke. Another way you can do it is pull you out another frame more towards the center, because that's where most of your brood and nurse bees will be. Make sure your queen's not on it. Shake extra bees in there. You can take another frame or two, shake those extra bees in that colony, and that will increase the population. Those nurse bees will not fly and leave and go back to this colony. That's another way of doing it. Cutting queen cells. You can actually cut queen cells from other colonies and start you a queen colony that way. There's so many different ways you can graft. If you're up to that stage in your beekeeping career, you can actually start grafting and doing and make lots and lots of queens. That's another way. These things here make perfect swarm captures. Of all the swarms that I caught last year, the majority of them went in this box, because anything 3 pounds and under, I usually put in here, and that'll help me build up these colonies more. And it's not overwhelmingly too many. I mean, it's good and full. Keep an eye on them, don't let them swarm, but under 3 pounds, these are perfect. And even small swarms, these are really good at. Another way, and you can go back and I'll put the video in the upper right hand corner where I did this. Now the only thing different with this is try to use mated queens doing this technique, because the bees, if you use a virgin queen or a queen cell using packages, they can get confused and they may not always want to stay in your colony, or they may, what we do, we take 4 of these or 3 depending on how strong you want. Let's say 3, and you stack them side by side with the lid off, side by side, like, well, let's pretend this is one just like it. Don't matter, you can use, these are versatile, you can use them, you know. So what you do, you can see that on the video hopefully, I'm just putting button two or 3 together, and what you'll do, let's say you do 3 for a package of bees, you got 1 queen already. Install your queen, buy you 2 more extra queens, and put in the other 2 colonies. Take, what I would suggest to do at this point too is go ahead and put you some hardware cloth. on the front of it, closed off, where the bees can't get out. And then take your package of bees and shake it, and you can go back and look at this video. I did that. And you'll shake that package of bees into these 3 nucs. Now you got a investment, you got a 135 in your package, and then the queens are what, 35 each, I think, or 37, I can't remember. Barnyardbees.com, you can check, or wherever you get your queen. So you can take a package of bees and 2 extra queens and have 3 colonies, and that's a good way of increasing your bees. Especially if you're budgeted to where you can't afford 3 or 4 colonies, this is a perfect way of doing this and save you a lot of money. And that colony will build up. You can take this 2 framer here and convert it to a 5 framer throughout the year, and then into a 10 framer sometime throughout the year, and even probably go to a super on top of that with those 3 colonies. It's just all about management and keeping them fed good. So you can go a long ways with that. So you'd have 3 large colonies by the end of the year by buying 1 package and 2 queens. That's another way of using these things. I'm telling you, and like I said, even if you don't buy these, we got the plans that you can build them yourself. If you're good at woodwork and cut, you can. We use Advantech when we made these. You can actually use plywood. You can use 1/2 inch. The plans are for 3/4, but you can use 1/2 inch. That will work fine, but you'll just have to adjust the dimensions just a little bit if you go with 1/2 inch. So there's a lot you can do with these. Everyone needs these, and I try to teach people this all the time, is in this day and age, beekeeping is harder, but you can do it, and you can do it a lot cheaper than what people normally do. And what I mean by that is, you can start off with some bees, and the first year, don't try to grow that 1 colony up real big and have a super big colony with lots of bees and you're proud of it. You go through the winter, it's dead. You lost it. I'm not saying it will happen, but it could. And because you took 1 colony through the winter. Now it don't matter if that colony is 5 stacks or if it was 1 single nuc. You lost it. It was a queen and a colony of bees that you lost, regardless how big it was. So what I try to get people to do, if you start off with 1 package of bees, this is a way you could do it, or into a 5 frame as well. You can do that and grow that thing out till it fills that box up, split it to another one, buy you another queen, cut your queen cells, whatever you want to do. I would advise for the new beekeeper, you can move frames with queen cells. It's very simple. It may be a little bit more difficult to cut queen cells and when to cut them. I would advise the first year, go ahead and buy you a couple extra queens throughout the year. Increase that 1 colony to 5 or 6 by the end of the year. You could have 5 or 6 or more. You can really go a long ways with these nucs. You can really stretch them and split. It's not hard. Just a matter of management. Keep them fed, keep the hive beetles out, treat them for mites at the end of the year or throughout the year better. Some people wait, of course, till the honey flows over, and because they don't want to treat, and you don't want to while your honey is on. So take care of them. You can take those 5 or 6 hives through the winter. Now you had 5 or 6 hives, you have a lot better chance of taking those 5 or 6 nucs through the winter than you did 1 big hive. So say if you lost half of your colonies, well, you still got 3 starting out in the spring. And that's what I'm trying to get people. Grow more bees than you need. They don't have to be huge colonies. These stands right here we have they're 16 foot long, and we can put 10 5 frame nucs on each of these. So say if you had 2 of these total, say if you had 2 rows of 16, you could have a lot of bees. And this could be your colonies that you use for splits and raising queens. You could have a 16-foot row and have these 2 framers even closer. One thing I don't like about the queen castle that people try to push is queen castle. You know, you have openings throughout that tin frame, and they're subdivided inside it into four different. I think it's four different sections. I've never used one because to me it didn't make sense to, because you can if you want to try it, but to me it's more of a risk, because that returning queen coming back can get confused. She goes in the wrong colony, she's dead. So with these, they got better of a chance because they're spaced apart, and you turn them a different direction. If you're ever running colonies, I advise people to, for raising queens, keep them spaced apart, different directions, paint them a different color. Some people will argue about that too, saying the bees don't know color, but I know better, because there's certain colors that we have that swarms will go to better than other colors. And the same way if you're installing bees, if you're installing packages of bees, and like red ones that are red or bright colors, it's really weird how those bees will congregate. The bees that are free flying that you shake in the colony will congregate into those certain colors a little bit more. I've seen it over and over. And if you put it on the end, that color on the end, it's even worse. So I always try to keep those bright colors like the reds and the yellows towards the center. And then sometimes if you're installing packages of bees, you've got to move them around because they'll congregate to that. So color is important. So keep your colors different. I know this is going to be a stretched out video, but I'm really windy this morning, and I feel like I got a lot of information to talk about. Paint them different colors, space them apart a little bit, facing different directions, and you'll have a heck of a lot more better chance of those queens returning to that than you will into a queen castle, I can assure you. Because 9 times out of 10, the queen castle is painted all white or all green or whatever. That's one thing is bad. You could color it different, but this makes more sense. These you can move around. You can actually take them out in the yard if you prefer, if you got space to do this, and face them different directions, spread way apart. That will work too. And because the more you space them apart and different colors they are, the better chance that queen is going to come back. And then another thing, talking about queens, when you make your queens, it's best to, especially for the new beekeeper, because early in the year is always your best chance of your higher percent rate is much higher in April. Here, mid-April. This is mid-April. We're right now at the end of February. Mid-April is prime time right here. Everything's perfect. The weather's warm. The nectar flows at its all-time high. Pollen is everywhere. There's no hive beetles that are starting that, I mean, unless you already have them in your colony. No wax moths yet. Wax moths don't come around here too much until June and after. Not saying they can't, but there's more of them then. Purple martins. Purple martins haven't showed up yet in April. Dragonflies haven't showed up in April. All these are predators against the returning queens. And that is your highest percent. So if you want to make you some queens and do you some splits, wherever you're at in that country, you got to find that month that is best for you. Like I said, here in North Georgia, it's mid-April. Upstate New York, California, it's all going to be different times. You got to find out when is the prime nectar flow in your area, and that will help you. Where if you really want to push queens and get a lot of queens mated and do a lot of splits, not saying you can't throughout the year, because we do all throughout the year, but your success rate drops as you go throughout the year. Those virgin queens and I always try to compare this to a football season. And the way I see it, when if you have a team like Clemson or Alabama, and they'll start off, or West Virginia, or whatever team we're talking about, they start off with an easy game. As the season goes on, they seem to pick up harder and harder games as they go. That's just like, like Georgia. Here I'm in Georgia, and everybody here's Georgia fans, and they'll start off playing a Division II team, usually the first game. At the end of the year, they're playing Alabama. So our hard team is in August, when you're trying to make queens, and you got everything against you. Then the hive beetles are everywhere, the dragonflies are everywhere, purple martins are everywhere, and other birds. You're at a time of year where the bees are robbing each other. You're in dearth, what they call dearth, is the bees are really against each other. They're at war with each other. They're trying to steal each other's honey away. So much is against you at that time of year, and you'll find your success rate, you'll be like, wow, this was so easy in April. Now I can't hardly get a queen to return. That's why it gets harder and harder. So keep that in mind. I'm just trying to share some information and experience. And that's about it. I just wanted to show you. I didn't want to not make a video on how you can use these afterwards. Now, as we go through the season, watch our videos. We'll be demonstrating stuff like I'm just talking about now, where you'll be able to see it on film. So watch our videos, and don't forget the bee chat, coffee bee chat, March 7th. We have lots of fun. Several beekeepers there you can talk to. We have free coffee and donuts. It starts at 10 o'clock Saturday morning, next Saturday, March 7th, 10 till 2 o'clock. And we have lots of fun. People enjoy it. Free coffee and donuts. And don't forget, anything you need. If you need bees, beekeeping supplies, package, nucs, barnyardbees.com, or wherever you get them. But get on the ball and get you some equipment now. And you better get your bees ordered if you're going to order bees, because it's crunch time. You know, it's March begins season here at Barnyard Bees. That's when the weather usually breaks and it starts warming up, and we can start thinking about splits and grafting and everything. So that's about it for today. Don't forget, folks, please help share our videos. Click on the little bell, like and subscribe. And thanks for watching. Barnyard Bees.